so I've been driving for the last 4 hours, and it is raining. So it has been a very unpleasant trip. So I'm just staying in a sort of small hotel room for tonight, and then I'll continue to travel tomorrow morning. Yep. So, and it's cool.
How is the pandemic situation now?
It's under control because Victoria or Melbourne, it was in lockdown for quite a long time because its cases crept up. But our cases are now under control. So now the borders between each of the states will start to open. But, you know, we have to social distance, wear masks, all of that sort of stuff. So, yeah. So apart from that, and, you know, taking precautions, and we have to sign in, leave our details wherever we go, you know, for contact tracing. Yeah. So it's different, but it's okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's okay. And you? And how is it in Nepal now? What is going on?
Yeah, in Nepal also the control is the situation is uncontrolled, in especially Kathmandu. Per day,
Good.
1,000 or let's say 1,200 people they are going to be infected, and out of the Kathmandu Valley, the situation is controlled. That's good.
Yeah, that is good. Good. That's very good. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, you might all be able to get back to some sort of normal way of life. Yeah. Good. And your family? How is your family, Bim?
Family all good, mom. I am alone in Kathmandu. I have sent all member in village. That is the safe place.
So you're having to look after yourself. Oh, that's a challenge.
Yeah, all. I'm responsible for all.
Yeah, very good. Good. Excellent. Yeah. That's good. So they are visiting family in the village.
Yeah, I went during Dasai for a few days.
All right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
After 1 week, I returned back.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Good. Are we ready to start? Wow.
Yeah, already. Yeah, time.
Good.
I think we will be starting for now. So can we?
Yeah, right. Sir.
Can you see my slide over there?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'd like to begin for now. All right. So okay. So a very good morning to all the respected personas who have delighted us with their presence today. It's 11 a.m. in Nepal, and I welcome all the participants who have connected with us through Zoom, and all the audience who are watching us through Facebook Live. So my name is Rahul Bisunke, and I'll be your host for today's session, Young Mind Exploring Democratic Values in the Third World. In this session, we'll be introducing you to our organization, Heartland Alumni Network Division, and also have plenty of discussion on democratic values in your respective context. So before formally starting the program, I have a question for all of you. And the question is, what was your journey like to explore democratic values in the practice of education? I'm sure all of you have a certain journey that connects you to the democratic education and its context. So what was your journey like? Please keep your answers to yourself. We will be discussing that at the end of the session. So I would like to begin the session with a quick introduction of my teammates who are helping me with this presentation.
Namaste and good morning. My name is Diksha Khadbi and I'm one of the member of Heartland Alumni Network Division HANS. And I'm very proud to be a part of HANS because I'm getting to learn and explore many things through the various activities that we have been carrying out. And I'm looking forward to have a wonderful time with all of you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ninamma Rai, and it's my pleasure to be here as a team member of Heartland Alumni. After the completion of my higher secondary education from Heartland Academy, I joined the organization, and since then, I've been working with them. Hope you'd had a wonderful time ahead.
All right, so let's get on to this session. So please know that everything we will say from now is all in the context of Nepal. So we'd like to start from now.
Realization. We believe everything starts with realization, and realization are our superpowers. Being a student of a democratic school was a normal thing for us until we saw the students struggling for basic education and realized how fortunate we were. We realized that there is lack of freedom in education and the whole system of democracy was being corrupted. We realized that we as an educated youth of the nation should at least try to create an impact, so we formed an organization, Heartland Alumni Network Division, abbreviated as HAND, in order to create a network that would help to create a bigger impact on the loopholes that the democracy in our context is hiding.
So we strongly believe that children are the future of the nation, and we wanted to work on the psychological level of the children. So to instill the democratic values and norms into the children so they can grow up being fine adults as the future of the nation. So Heartland Alumni is a non-profit youth organization that works for the mental health of the children with the support of all the like-minded networks. So we wanted to work on the psychological level of the children so we can look care and care after their mental health. So we wanted to establish HAND as a hub to for all the individuals connected to Heartland as a hub so that I can connect all the individuals who are connected to Heartland. So so we also wanted to establish HAND as a hub that connects all the individuals who share our vision to look after the child's mental health.
So basically, our vision includes the society and a system where a child are provided education and awareness about their mental health. So we want to create a society where children are free, are not hesitated when it comes to talk about mental health. We want to normalize the topic called mental health because in most of the Nepali society, when it comes to talk about mental health, people used to take it in a negative way. So even because of that mentality, children tends to feel hesitation when they want to talk about the mental issue that they have been suffering. So we want to create such a society and a system where children can be freely talk about the mental issue that they have been suffering. Likewise, our next vision is to create a mentally free society where child is mentally well and healthy. We want to we want to see a children who are happy, not just physically, socially, but also mentally for what he is and what he has been doing. If he have any mental issues or any problem, then we want to see him happy and we want to see him well by overcoming all the problems that he have been facing.
So, activities till date. Ideas alone doesn't change the world. Brilliant ideas combined with action does. So these are some of the activities that we have conducted so far. Library development project. The first ever project that we have conducted was library development project in Okhaldunga, where we donated over 1,000 books that benefited the student of the whole village. Career counseling project. So career counseling project is our main elemental project that aim to educate the primary level students for educational process and option for their career. It also included a psychological motivational session that inspired them to pursue the career of their interest. It helped over 1,000 students along with some teachers and parents. homework helping club. This project was initiated to help all the students facing difficulties in their studies after school in the most friendly environment. Web session. We were also able to conduct some web session in the time of lockdown. Our first session was Understanding Depression, where we talked about depression openly in the presence of professional psychologists and some depression victims. We then conducted a session on eating healthy and thinking healthy that focused on how healthy eating can impact in your positive cognition. We then conducted a session on application that focused on the increasing influence of applications in today's world.
So talking about our future reserve, the first one we want to do after this COVID-19 eases in this Nepal, we want to conduct the multinational extempore competition. It basically means that we want to include all the children from Nepal as well as, if possible, from around the world too for this competition, where we will be giving the certain topic on the spot to the children, and they will be getting 1 minute time for thinking, and after that they will be explaining what they think about that particular topic. So we are thinking of, we are planning to conduct this program very soon. And next one would be how to connect all the members of Heartland. Since our Heartland Alumni Network Division is all about the alumni from our Heartland, therefore we want to connect more idea, more new learnings from all our alumni. And recently we have also welcomed our 2 new members who were the students of our Heartland, and they just passed out. And third would be merging with other organizations for wider reach. We also have been, we are trying our best to connect with other organizations too so that we can carry out our work more professionally and with more new learnings and new ideas. So we are also connecting with other organizations for our various activities, and we are looking forward to merge with other organizations as well. And also we want to create a community where children mental health are cared by conducting various programs. Since we have already conducted various programs like career counseling, and even through homework helping club, we have learned many things about children mentality. Therefore, we want to conduct more about mental health of the children, where they can share, where they can be eased, and where they do not hesitate to talk about the mental health. And we want to overcome the problems of the children when it comes about their mental health. Thank you.
All right. So what's the point of presentation? I mean, why are we presenting to you about our organization and our values and about vision and mission? So from today's presentation, we have certain objectives that we want to achieve, and top one among them is networking. We want to connect with everyone, every like-minded world every like-minded individuals of the world to know what we are doing and why we are doing so, to join us in our journey to fulfill our vision. So we want to encourage and motivate everyone around the world to take a step forward and be brave enough to make your society better. So that was it for the presentation. So let's move towards the question. It was short and sweet. We tried to minimize it as we can. So do we have any questions? Give me a second. All right, so do you have any questions that you guys want to ask? The room is open now, and so we can also take in the so we can also take the questions that we asked before the session. That how is your democratic journey like? So does anybody wants to volunteer?
Yeah. Yep. I want to volunteer.
Yes, Chris, ma'am. Thank you so much. So you can go on.
Okay, so the question that you first posed was how we were informed about democratic education or how we came across it. So my experience is through my 2 children, my 2 boys, Patrick, who you know, Ben is my younger son. So when Patrick started school, he was from a very young age a school refuser. He disliked school. He lacked the freedom that he wanted as a child. So when we moved from country New South Wales to Sydney, we looked for a school that would support him in having the freedom to learn and to be himself. And we were fortunate to find a small school for that purpose. Previous to that, I'd been doing a lot of reading about democratic education. So the most important book for me was Summerhill, which is by A.S. Neal. And it still runs as a school in the UK. And I think it opened my eyes to find this school that could support my children's education and also my education as an adult into democratic principles of education, and for children to have more, be able to participate more fully in their education, for them to have say in how the school runs, in how their classroom runs, in how, what subjects they want to do, how they want to learn, where they want to learn. And we were fortunate to find a small school, and I also taught there as well. And this increased my awareness and taught not only about education, but about my own principles, about what democratic principles I was working on, what values I had around that. And then we went on to form various organisations to support democratic education in Australia. So that's basically my journey. And then, of course, we've been involved with Heartland. We still have a way to go, from my point of view, to democratise Heartland. But considering where we started and where we are now, it's been a huge journey. And the fact that you were all standing there as part of our alumni and espousing things that we believe in as values, then to me, how perfect is that we can send you out in the world to do what we also hope you can achieve. So that's my story. Thank you. Thank you, Raul, for the opportunity.
Can I ask you a quick question, ma'am?
Sure, of course.
All right. So as far as I have learned from IDEC, Summerhill is not a democratic school, right? So it's not in democratic model, as far as I know. Summerhill.
No, it's an interesting conversation. I think there are a lot of elements of Summerhill which are considered democratic, and I think the way it is run with no parent student council, the way other schools do, it is run more what you would say top down. Then it has some elements obviously of democratic education because of the way the school is run for the children. The administration, I would say, is not what I would call democratic, but that's true for Heartland as well in some respects. But it is a model that has worked very well. So of course there's all kinds of different models that support children's education, as you know. There's schooling, there's homeschooling, there's unschooling. So there's lots of different models, and it depends on what is going to really work for the student body and the participants in the school. So that would be my answer around Summerhill. Yeah.
All right. Just another question adding to that. So what motivated you to, invest in democratic education in Nepal? especially in a country, in a third world country where people are struggling for basic education, even formal education. So what motivated you to invest in democratic education in Nepal in such landscape?
Well, I did a lot of work with in the late 1990s with a couple of groups of teachers and worked in Nepal doing some training. That was more conflict resolution training. But it was really Patrick who dragged me into being part of it because he was the one that wanted to start the charity and to start the work in Nepal. Whereas I kept saying to this group of Nepali teachers, it's your journey, you need to do it. But Patrick was insistent, so of course we started. And of course, how could I resist? No, I could not resist. And I think after the People's War, where Nepal put the monarchy aside, worked very hard to get a constitution, to become a very young democracy, you want people in the society to know what it is, what democracy is about, to have a experience of democracy in their own lives. And you know that in Nepal, that's not the way it works. The government rules and that's it. You don't have a place. Yes, you vote, but how is that organised? And that's true in Australia. If children do not have the experience of democracy in their own education, in their own families, in their schooling or whatever, then when they get to 18 or when they can vote, then they don't understand or they don't know what it's like to have the possibility of having a chance to speak, a chance to vote, a chance to influence a society. They just go and vote and then that's it. And they put up with whatever government comes along. Whereas we're better than that. We're more creative than that. We can influence more than that. We vote politicians in. They work for us, not the reverse. So let's make them work. Let's make government work. That's what we vote for. And it's the same at school. We want our students to engage and say, this is not working for me in the classroom. This is not working at school. Come on, let's change it. Let's work towards it. It's the same thing. It's like a microcosm of what happens in society, happens in school. And that's what we're aiming for.
It's very wonderful.
Did I talk too fast? Raul.
It was understandable. Actually, and a very good answer, actually. So does anybody else wants to volunteer? Actually, I want to know about democratic journey of Sir Karan. Sorry, if you don't mind.
Great, thank you, Rahul, for this opportunity. I'm enjoying a lot, so good interaction or discussion in this session. And at the same time, yes, as my experience or journey of the educational movement in my past, I can say in a single way, like there was nothing concept of such type of democratization or democratic values in education while I was in my school age. And I was kept all the time within like such different type of pressures, all the pressures from family side, from school side, and a couple of things like I have to be first, I have to own any activities, and this is only I was like suggested by the educational leaders or institution teachers or my parents even. So this is my another journey, because I have carried my very traditional experiences of my student life, and while I am working in this new world, this is new world for me actually, and so this is the difference I can see the differences. I can see how the traditional education or schooling system and now the current is freedom in a schooling system, or the students interest, their choice, their ability, how they are considered within the classroom atmosphere, or such opportunities that is given to the student. My God, if we could have these terminology or opportunities in our life also, then we could do differently the things right now. Thank you, Rahul.
Thank you so much, Karan sir, for your words. So, do you have anyone volunteering to share their journey regarding democratic education? So, I can see Thomas here. Thomas, hello, can you hear me? Okay. All right. So,
Rahul, what about Bimsa or Chandamis? Have they got nothing to say? My expectation is that you'll step up and say it.
yeah. Sir Wim, we would love to listen to your story on how did you find this democratic values in education, your journey on this thing. So,
Okay, thank you, Rahul, for this opportunity. Yeah, uh, we know everybody in past there was no any democratic concept in schools, and even in the country also. In Nepal, you can see the history. There is a autocratic monarchy in Nepal, and the same system in the schools also. And all the schools they were in the democratic system, and only just teachers students relation was not very good, and just teacher as a leader, or let's say as a dictator, they used to come in the class and they used to teach, and their students voice that was not listened. That was the system, and I also grew in the same system. And even up to my master's degree, I was in the such environment. And after I started my professional journey in Heartland, and I came to know about the democracy. And even in the first stage, I was also too traditional teacher, and slowly and gradually I went through the philosophy of the schools. I talked with the our governing bodies, Chrismam, Patixers, and I inspired with these things. And now I'm totally updated, and I unlearned my all the skills and knowledge that I learned previously. And so this is the new era for me as well. And now I'm giving this concept of democracy to other my students. So this is really the good moment for me, and still I am in the learning phase. This is my simple story.
Yeah, how's it been?
thank you, sir, Wim sir, for sharing your story. I think it is equally important to all learn, as important as we need to learn. So, thank you for sharing your
Yeah.
story. Chanda ma'am, do you mind? Would you mind sharing us your story on your finding of democratic education?
Thank you, Rahul. Uh, is this okay, sound?
Yeah, ma'am, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you for your question. And then um, I think I experience a democratic environment, like a democratic um, environment or policies or everything as a democratic, as a teacher only. And like Bhimsar and Karan sir said, I also grown up with a traditional education system, and uh, when I came here in Heartland, joined in Heartland, and then only I know about democratic education. And then I experienced year by year, day by day, I experienced a lot of about democratic education, and also I attend IDEC, EBDIC in last year in Australia. That was my first EBDIC experience also, or that democratic conference experience also. And then we all are getting chance to involve and attend that conference, and then we are collecting a lot of experience, like little one experience also become a new like idea for us. And then we can say, or we can decide like, let's do like this, or let's do like that. And then what we are doing here, and then we are getting full support from a persons or a group, or a group from Australia. And then it is a huge support for us. Without them, we cannot think like we can run democratic education smoothly, we alone. So I'd like to thanks our whole group, CLCR Australia, and then other also, with the groups who are supporting us to run a democratic education system here in Heartland. And without them, we are not only a group like we are here directly. We are not only the group to support here and then do. And then here are students also who are attending this program, listening this program. And I like to say that you are very lucky to get this chance. And please make sure that you get all of the facilities, and then use that in a right way, and then make your future clear. Yeah. And then you get a bright chances, and then you know yourself also what you have to do in your future, or what you want to be in a future, what you are actually. And you can self evaluate you, and then you yourself plan for your future. And we teachers are here to push you from backward, and you have to find yourself. And be all about democratic education is to being independent, being dependent, and then explore the world on oneself. That is the main theme of democratic educations. And then we as a teacher, as a facilitator, we are providing every facilities from the school probable facility, and students are also enjoying that. And I am sure they will become a great person. Yes. And you are the one example here. They will be great person in the future. Thank you. And once again, thank you all Heartland member, Heartland organization, and then CLCR member also. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your words. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, actually, democratic education in Heartland, and I'm sure in Nepal, it was one of the initiation from Ma'am Chris and Sir Patrick, I'm sure, and their team. They inspired and encouraged us as a Heartland Academy to be established as a democratic educational institution. So that's how we get started as a democratic educational institution. Am I right, Karan?
Yeah, you are right. You are right.
Okay, so what plans do you have the question is for Sir Karan and Ma'am Chris, and one of you can answer. So what plans do you have for Heartland in upcoming days in terms of democratic education? How do you plan to run it forward? So can you share a little bit?
Okay, good. Me at first. Yeah. Thank you once again. Yeah, this is in a simple way or very shortly I can say right now. We have paved the way of democratic access in our uh, schooling system or education system as the part of educational philosophy. Then it is only our core intention to enhance and empower the democratic values, to transfer for new learners or new generation, and all the time this is we target, just in a short way. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Ma'am Chris?
Good. Do you want me to go?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Raul, do you want me to speak?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, so the list is very long for me about our way forward. For me, I would still like to change the way we operate in the classrooms. I would like to have less of a curriculum. I would like to have more opportunity for children to extend the interest that they have beyond the particular subject matter. I think we've still got a long way to go to make our project-based learning really relevant. I would like to be able to have our teachers to have more experience, as some of them have had to come to international democratic conferences. We're fortunate that the online one in Nepal, which they've worked so hard to set up, I'm hoping that teachers have, gone online and seen some of those talks, and then we'll come back and question our practices. I want teachers and students to question what we are doing, to break it right open for them, teachers professionally and the students, to make their learning more relevant to them and what they're interested in. So that's one thing, or two. I also want us to do, as we've already started, Ram and Karan and BIM have done a lot of outreach, as you have in your startup projects, to talk about education, to do training with other schools about changing the system. A lot of teachers I know in Nepal, as in Australia, know it doesn't, the system doesn't work for children. They know that. They see children failing. They see the suicide rates. They see people being unemployed. They see the despondency. How can we change that? We need to give children more voice there. So I would like us to do more training. I would like us also to be able to actually have training at the school, to be able to bring teachers in and do some training, to ask them what they would like to change in their school, see what's possible for them, and also possible for students as well. So I think those things for me at the moment are the most important things, and to keep working on our own teachers at school, because I know that a lot of the teachers that have been with us for a long time understand and have worked with us and have been to workshops with us and understand. I can remember BIM, when we were standing at the airport at Bangalore to come back to Nepal after the International Democratic Education Conference. He turned to me and he said, "I get it now. I understand." And I went, yes, because that's what I want us to teachers to say is, I understand. This is what it's about. And, and then they can break open the system. That's really important. I know that there are teachers that struggle at school with thinking they've been brought up in a traditional way. That was my schooling as well, traditional way. There is a different way. We want our students to be able to go out and to transform what they can in their society. For girls in particular, but for boys as well. We need men and women to support each other for that change. All right, enough from me. I could talk all day about this, but that's enough from me.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for your
Okay.
proudly sharing.
Rahul, can I add
Yes, sir.
something?
Yes, sir. Yes, sure, sure.
Okay, exactly. Chris Mama and Karan sir has shared about the future plan of the Heartland, what they want to do and what they want to make Heartland. And some reflection. I am proud to be the teacher and mentor of you guys like Rahul, Diksha. You are our product, and exactly this is our
Yeah.
future aim. Also, we want to create such types of leader in the nation who can lead the nation, who can lead the youth, and they can fight for the revolution in all the sector, not only in the education. They can lead the nation. So this is our main objective, and we are working on it, and hope we will get success in this. Also, we are getting success, and we will get 100% success in future. This is our expectation and plan. And beside that,
Yeah.
uh, still in Nepal, few schools only they are the democratic. We can count them, and most of the school they are running in the traditional way. So now our Heartlands plan should be, or plan we are doing is here. Not we are going to be limited only within the Heartland. We are going to provide teacher training to other schools teacher age also. So we can enrich throughout the nation, each and every corners schools teachers they will get the training, and we are in this campaign, and surely we will have the very good reach throughout the Nepal, and one day we will be one model school in the Nepal. This is our plan, and for that we are working.
Very,
Great.
very inspiring.
Thank you.
Also, yeah, just one more minute. I take.
Yes,
Sorry,
yes,
sorry for
please.
interruption. Also,
Right.
we can like take different modalities. Like now, this is one perfect example the how IDEC was conducted by a virtual session. So, a couple of opportunity we create how like in implementation level, our philosophy, our like preparation, our target. These are in one side, and we keep going with those process. And what we can add one more point here, like educational exhibition or something sharing modalities can be shared by these virtual session as well. Um, this can be a great platform if we um, do something for democratic approach or such revolution to bring in the country. Um, just to pick up good time or public holidays or any evening or morning, almost of the families or students or staff members, they are on in rest, and they can just connect it virtually to our sharing sessions or presentations, or once or twice or three times, four times, what is that possible, or semester basis, like sharing session as semester exhibition or something, different ideas, or how students they are achieving or doing different thing here at Heartland can be easy to throw within the society or community. This is also, I think, can be a very greater influence. The slowly the community member will be benefited with the perspective of democratic education or democratic approach in school education. So we can empower these things. Just one more idea. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think Heartland is already an example for democratic education, which is leading all these democratic schools in Nepal. So, Chanda ma'am, do you have any plans as an academic coordinator for Heartland Academy in case of democratic education? In con-
Um, Thank you, Rahul,
for
for this question. As a coordinator, let's say, just whole my planning is to make more familiar and more educated about democratic educations, and taking experience and ideas from other, and then giving and spreading it among student and teachers. It is my plan, and other rest are like according to situation and condition we will go further. But still we have more things to do for a democratic education. We are not fulfill in all sector. Like we can improve many of the programs here, and then go betterly. We have that like a place for that. And then also we teachers mainly I believe that we all teachers are know about democratic educations, and then they experience from different program, and then or different program conducting from school side, and then from different organization also. So I'm very happy to have a team who are well experienced and well known about the democratic education, and it helps us to go further in a clear way, in a smooth way. Thank you. And I didn't plan like that special plan for that, but all have to know about democratic education. And the main thing is the parents need to know that everything is not depend on a textbook, like from specific publications, one publication, and go through like uh, definition of science or definition of a living thing, and like that. Because they have to know by doing, and then by touching that, or by looking that, watching that, and then by doing everything with that topic. So I think parents also need to know about democratic educations, all parents. So it would be very easy to student to get a real educations, real practices of education, and it would be very grateful for their future, as a good reference. It goes to their future. I think so. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I will like to tell you a few a short history on this democratic education, or the type of education that, that Nepal always has been implementing for students. So in last few decades, the whole world has transformed phenomenally. You know, the telegram has been converted into smartphones and smartwatch and smart. Everything is smart. Everything is smart nowadays, right? So, but the context and the way the education that it used to be 50 years ago and now is almost same, right? I graduated my plus two with the same book that I'm sure Karan sir or Tim sir they used to graduate plus two or bachelor's. I'm reading same book that was published like 20-30 years ago, right? This context of whole education, the way of teaching and the way and the syllabus and these contents, they all have been same for many years. So democratic education of course has been a twist and a very needed change that I believe in Nepal, actually in the context of Nepal. And I am really thankful for all these Australian team and Heartland Academy for providing us a democratic education which is needed. So in this IDEC, I also as a Heartland alumni, as a part of Heartland alumni, am learning various kinds of concepts like subsidiary model of schooling, right? There is like another
Yeah.
Summerhill
Yeah.
one. There is like democratic, and even this thing like honest schooling. Yes, this concept of honest schooling, this
Yeah.
concept of alternative education,
Mhm.
and these are all so new and so exciting to me that I really want to achieve personally and as a organizational way also.
Mhm.
So I think this could be used in our context as well in some way or the other. So does anybody wants to share any opinions on alternative educations or any kind of education like that?
Yeah. Yes, I'm happy to talk about that, Raoul.
Yes, sure, ma'am.
Yes, as I was saying before, it's like Summerhill, that's a particular way of having a democratic education.
Right.
Sudbury is different again. They all offer children a different model, the same as Heartland, the same as schools in Australia, Karambina in Australia, where I taught, other schools. The basics are there almost in every model. Respect for the child's opinion, the fact that a child can learn, they don't need things shoved down their throat, they don't need textbooks, they need support from adults that are going to teach them how to, how to support their own learning. Who are they, to give them those models, give them emotional support, less stress, all of that sort of thing. So all of those models underneath do pretty much the same sort of things. They just have different ways sometimes of doing it. The same as if you listen to Mike Wenham from Germany, he's a slightly different model again. I would like to, if you get onto Mike Wenham stuff in Germany, he has a fantastic list of things that we could also achieve in Nepal. Of 13, I think it's 13 or 15 things that he was able, from his research with children, to nominate. You get onto him, that's the list I think we need to look at. The other guy who I learnt from, who I went to his website, went to his talk, was a guy called Adler Yang. He's from Taiwan. You get onto some of his stuff, it's very interesting. And it's really engaging students in doing their own youth expos, about what they want. And it's very engaging. So it doesn't matter how young or old we've been with democratic education, there's always new things to look at and new ways to do things. That's why these democratic education conferences are so fantastic, because you get exposed to people, whether it's online or in person, and you can say, yes, that's what I want to do. The thing is, it's us that has to run with it. Okay. It's fine to be in theory. It's us that actually have to do the work. That's what we want to do in Heartland. That's what you want to do with your organization, is actually run with it. So yes, that's a good idea, like in a textbook, but it doesn't go any further. No. We want to see the practice. We want to see it forward. So that's where we want to go in Heartland. That's what you want to do with hand. But there's always more to learn. Always different models, Raoul. It's what's going to support the kids at the time. Do we need to change it sometimes? Yeah, why not? Look at it, question it. Good, fantastic. What can we learn from Sudbury? What can we learn from Mike Wenham's? What can we learn from Yang in Taiwan? What can we learn from the Taiwanese school? Very strong democratic institutions, schools in Taiwan. Fantastic. Worked very hard with government to get there. Yeah, India. Fantastic. Terrific groups of unschooling, deschooling groups in India. There's a world there. Okay, enough from me. Thank you, Raoul.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, actually, the fact that these concepts, these kind of model exist is just phenomenal. Just because the concept of education, in particular, in Nepal, is just about going to classroom, learning from teachers, and going home, doing homeworks, and submitting back, and it goes on and on in the same loop. So all these concepts emerging to me actually is very, very fantastic and interesting actually. So I, as a personally and as a member,
can I just say one more thing?
Yes, sure.
Sorry, Raoul, to interrupt. The other thing is the schooling that you had, that sort of schooling, sit down, shut up, open the textbook, this is the way it is. That was my schooling. What is that? What's that for? To make you a compliant citizen. Don't complain. Don't step out of line. Don't ask for your rights. That's what it's about. That's what that compulsory kind of education is about, right? Yeah. Is that respectful? No.
No,
Is
no.
it what supports a democratic society? No. Is it what supports a democratic education? No. So the sort of education that's in Nepal, not only in Nepal, in Australia, lots of other places, is to make compliant citizens. Yeah, you vote, but shut up, right? That's not what we want. That's not what we want to produce. Okay, thinking citizens, creative citizens, stepping out of lines as citizens, revolutionary citizens. Yeah, that's what we want. That's what democratic education is about, to make you a thinking, creative individual. Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. You see, I can speak all day about this.
Yes, we are also achieving what we are trying to achieve actually. So these are democratic models actually are producing more leaders than this traditional type of education, and I'm so glad to be part of this form of education.
Yeah.
So any more participants that would like to join in, maybe and we would like to know the education system of CN actually. So if you would like to speak up. I can see her, but I don't know if she can hear me or not. All right. Then any more volunteers that would that have anything to say? Thomas,
Yes. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, Atma.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Hi, Rahul. So basically, first of all, I would like to congratulate to you and your team that you are doing wonderful work in Nepal, and it's glad to hear your experience and what your team has shared. So this is wonderful experience, and I just have one question that in democratic education you are trying your best, especially in Nepal, because Nepal is again there are a lot of geographical issues also there, and plus there are so many issues according to my knowledge, as per my knowledge. So what are the 2-3 things that you are trying to do? Like one of your sir said about that you are trying to give trainings to the teachers. So I'm more interested in knowing that how you are going to train teachers and what exactly you are going to share about democratic education with them. So can you please address that?
All right. So thank you for the question,
Yeah.
Atmaza. I'm really glad you're here. Okay, so we in past days conducted few of the sessions and few of the programs like career counseling, which was mostly focused on the students of grade 8, 9, 10, that teachers that taught them how to pursue that career path in educational and financial way and all the things. So we are also planning for some kind of teacher education. You know, basically the teachers of Nepal, they are quite traditionally educated, you know. They all have been through this traditional education, sleep, learn, do the homework, if not punishment and things like so on, right? So as being of a part of a democratic education, we from the core know how democratic education go, right? So how students are given opportunity to speak, to engage, to lead, participate, and things like this. We just want to share these ideas to those teachers so they can learn from our experience, our ideas, and our experiences that we share to them as our students, as experience, and as also a teacher of a democratic educational system. So actually, we simply share our experiences, plannings, and we are learning our programs like this and that, and they actually learn from those experiences. Actually, did I answer your question?
Okay. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
I would like to share some opinion with other people, and if you do not agree with me, just give me some comments. It will be very appreciated.
Sure.
About democracy, because in the East world, I mean in Asia mainly, the culture of this country like Nepal, India, Korea, Japan are quite influenced by the Chinese culture. I mean, the Asian, not the modern. And the democracy was introduced from the West. But I think the practice in the India, Nepal, and Japan or the Korea where I visited are very important for redefine the notion of democratic education. I would like to argue the aim of democratic education is not for citizen, but for every individual, for individual growth. I mean, the change of mindset of human being. In the Western culture, like the current situation in America, they want to have a voice. They vote, but they may not have a chance to reflect themselves, to judge the global situation or the state situation, whatever, the economic, I watched the debate. They put their eyes on the outside things, such as economic, foreign policies, etc. If I said to democratic education, if we taught our student like this, just to put their attention on those things, political things or social issues or future, not for themselves, their inner richness, awareness, I think it will be harmful to the whole mankind in future. So my view, I think we need to focus on the individual health, the balance of life, work, the harmony with the people around you. I'm an advocate of a caring theory. That means everything starts from the care. You care yourself first. You care your family. Okay, you care the knowledge. You care something happens far away from you. If you build this kind of a caring system, I think this will be the start of a new democratic education. That means everyone not to focus on, pay attention to others' fault, but to think the reasoning and to understand each other. In the current situation, I mean, we are all building information societies, and these things have become very crucial to the not only to the developing, I mean the third world, but also to the West, or to the like a first line of war, like America, Canada, or the UK, something like this. So I'm really appreciate and your Nepal or India's culture and the practice of democratic education. Yeah, this is my view and my share. Yeah, wish I can get some comments on it. Sorry for my English.
It's actually
No, it's
so Chris ma'am, do you have some comments on that?
Well, yes, I agree. I think yes, you have to care for yourself first, and you have to care for the people around you. And I think that forms the basis of any education that you want to present, whether it's social, emotional, sectors, academic, physical, whatever. I think it does. It comes from your internal needs as well. And we have to experience that in our lives to know that that's the way we want to continue in our education. I think the difficulty in other countries who have, systems like India and Nepal, like caste systems, which although are outlawed, are very much still part of society. It's absolutely essential that we have experiences with each other and we listen to each other from all different walks of life and not judge and so on. That's difficult, and we need to be very aware of that in our own self. So yes, I agree with what you are saying. I think that is the perfect place. After all, education is about self, in the first instance. So thank you for putting that forward. That's terrific. I love it.
Right. I think.
Thank you, Ral. Thank you.
Thank you, and for bringing that up. I think, Karan sir, we need to make a point here. No matter what education system we follow, no matter what model we follow, this system of caring yourself, your family, and after your society, then onwards, I think that needs to be habitualized. I think that needs to be followed from younger years.
Yeah.
In addition, why I say India and Nepal are very important in this movement, because you have the background, the cultural background of Buddhism. That is the unique. Can be enhanced in this kind of democratic education change.
Right.
Interesting.
Nepal and India are from Buddhism background, so that our core, from our core, we are very caring and self-loving kind of. We have Buddhism values instilled in us from the young age. So that's why India and Nepal are most important in this moment of self-caring and so on. So yes, Thomas, yes, please.
Yes, I'm sorry I'm late. I was in another session where there were only 2 participants with the presenters. So it was very important for me to stay with that one. And Anne, I'm glad you're here. I heard you, and I want to ask you a question, Anne. Were you saying the word care, or were you saying the word cure when you said it's important?
Care, C-A-R-E, care, caring system.
Yes, so I want to celebrate the spiritual aspect here, right? And both care and cure are important here. And I think it's the democratic education approach which gives the time and the space for people to start to turn inward and to either care and maybe followed by cure themselves as they turn inwards and take time to do what you're advocating. And so I'm very glad to hear what you're sharing and what everybody else has been saying about this. It's spiritual to make sure that this moment has enough space in it for people to look inwards is very important. And democratic education is the approach that most protects and allows for that, I think.
It's very much.
It is not only a spiritual care. It is kind of approach in learning. The theory basically is from the Professor Neil Nordins. Actually, she is an American, quite famous educational philosopher. I read her books and found that this is a beautiful kind of we call education philosophy.
Can you type that in the chat so we can take a closer look at it, Anne?
Yeah, right.
Yes, that'd be good. Yeah.
So before you arrived, Thomas, we were discussing discussing about our journey to find these, democratic values and practices in education. So I believe you're from Sudbury model, right? You have experience of Sudbury model of schooling.
I have
So
been on staff as a paid staff person at a Sudbury school. Yes.
yeah, so we would love to hear your journey and how do you come up with this Sudbury model, and how is your experience regarding that thing and all?
Well, I was just a small part in one small school. There might be 40 or 50 or more schools that are based on the Sudbury model. The first one is Sudbury Valley, um, and they're the ones who modified Summerhill. And the purpose was to allow young people to understand the societal system that adults in democratic nations have chosen to make choices together and to protect themselves from society and to protect society from individuals. It's very important in both directions. And of course, as Ann was saying, it's also important that people turn inwards also to understand themselves first and to get better in that approach. So does that start to answer your question?
Yeah, sure, definitely. So, was your schooling in any kind of democratic or Sudbury model, or it was like traditional education? Where do you
No,
school?
my schooling was torture for
Oh,
how I preferred to learn. So I'm an expert. And by the way, I have to say, from the beginning, kindergarten through half of sixth grade, when I was about 10, I loved school. I was just great. I was able to answer all the questions and had a lot of fun and et cetera, et cetera. But in the middle of sixth grade, I got the awareness that I was only halfway through the sentence, the penalty, the punishment of going to school every day, right? And so from that point forward, I just barely survived. And so I have personally, for who I am and for how I learn, I need freedom. And so it was very painful for me to have no freedom. And worse than no freedom, nobody cared. No one even began to ask me what was important to me, right? So it's a state school. It's a mass-oriented schooling. And when I first understood as an adult how much that hurt me and harmed me in my growing up and becoming an adult, then I started looking. I started exploring, and I discovered John Taylor Gatto, who helped me understand why it was so bad for
Yeah.
me, the mass schooling approach, and worse, that it was designed to be that bad, right? It's not an accident that it's that bad, right? So there's a lot to learn from the history, right? The purpose of school is to find the rebels and to mark them and protect society from anyone who would rebel, right? So that's the purpose of the mass state schools that we have. Who are the rebels, right? Let's give grades to everybody so we know who the one who doesn't care about grades are, because those are the rebels mostly. So, and yeah, so as an adult, I discovered a completely opposite approach, which is a huge blessing. Um, I run out of words to try to describe how much better democratic education is for the experience of the young people in this world called learning. How's that?
actually, you brought up a very good point about mass school education system and all.
I think freedom is the major and a crucial issue in current democratic education. That means choice making, right? Thomas, you mentioned that many times, freedom, choice making. But and a rule, set a rule, follow the rule, discussing the rule. A group connected with a common sense, or we call common role, right? A rules. But what I want to argue is like Professor Norton's. If somebody doesn't realize his or her body physical rule, and such as the daily routine, actually the result will be the bad health, disease, sickness, many things. So in the East culture, there is a rule. Always there's a rule. We call the Tian, or we call Dao. So in the East culture, the education always focus on this rule at first, and put this rule in priorities. But for me, with my personal understanding, the Western education, I mean democratic education, might not put a lot of emphasis on this rule. So freedom that could be free choice. You can be, how to say, you can take the drugs as long as you want, as long as it make you happy, and you can do lots of things, such kind of things. But is that the purpose of education? I'm wondering. From Buddhist point of view, there are something you can't against, because our physical body is a limitation.
Yes, great. I think Thomas want to say something. Yeah, I just got
Thank
your
you
hand
so
raised.
much, Anne, for sharing what you're sharing here. I just want to reflect back that, in my experience, education is a powerful word, and it means so much, right? I avoid it. Avoid the word education because it's used by so many people in so many different ways, right? Um, I like the word learning, and I like the word learning freedom, and I like the phrase freedom to learn. Everything that you're saying is most important, and I think is most available from the time that people can have in within a democratic um, approach, where they have the freedom. And this is very important. There's also a freedom to simply say no, thank you. Whatever it is, as a young person, that the adult is saying, okay, it's important to me that this is what we do now. It's in a democratic, and only in a democratic environment, to avoid the word education, only in a democratic environment is there a freedom to say, no, thank you, not for me. In fact, I want to do something over here in this other direction. If I need any help, I will ask you for it. Otherwise, I'm going to go this way. That's the essence of what I understand to be a democratic environment, not for, quote, education, but for learning, and the best kind of learning from inside, which is where you're pointing, and that the learning comes from inside, and that the young people get to practice and exercise how to make their own choices so that they can engage in real learning through whatever makes sense to them, and that the adults are there to make sure that it's a safe environment, and but not to direct and say this is what's important to me, so I'd like to see you do what's important to me, even when it's something so good and powerful such as what you're sharing with us, Ann. So what a lovely conversation. This is what needs to be talked about. So I'm so glad that this session is devoting this time to this. So thank you, Karan, and Bim, and everybody who's here. Christine, big thanks to everybody, and for the English also. Thank you all.
Great, great.
Thomas, I really, really agree with you. Learning should stand education. Education is past time now, because we are now in a information society. There's so much noise. I mean, it's totally how to say 12 or maybe third amount that we can reach in the last century, right? So it is not about education. It is about how support individual to learn. I really agree with you at this point. But one thing I would like to discuss with you is about the choice. You mentioned that everybody can have a right to say no. But previous day, one how to say one host mentioned, if a child have a choice to say no to have no lunch or no breakfast, do they have this right to say no breakfast? Choice, their choice, no rest, no sleep, no breakfast, no lunch. I just don't want to play digital game. Do they have this kind of free choices?
I can only share that in the Sudbury School, we do not have a set schedule for meals. And it's always up to the young people, the adults, the same way. If they're hungry, they eat. And if they're not eating, nobody has got a clipboard checking to see if everyone ate a meal. That's just not what happens inside a Sudbury school. And I understand that Sudbury model is a radical kind of implementation of democratic education. And I understand that there's plenty of schools that are democratic environment and that they have scheduled meals, and that's fine. It's a very interesting question. I'm happy to take lots of time talking about all this with you, Ann. So I think we're already connected with our emails too. So I'm looking forward to that. And big thanks for all your good ideas here, Ann.
Can I just say something about that freedom choice thing before we need to finish, Raul?
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
Okay, this is really tricky, the whole freedom choice license stuff. For me, freedom doesn't mean license to do whatever you want. And I think that that's true whether you're in a school model, but I think the whole business of whether you have breakfast or whether you're on a digital device as a child is also a parental, that's straying into parents' ideas about parenting. Okay, so I think there's a difference between giving children choice and negotiating a time that might happen. And also explaining to a child that having breakfast and the need for that, or the need not to be on a digital device all the time, or the need to sleep needs to happen. For me, when I was bringing up my boys, it was, this is my responsibility as a parent to make sure you have enough sleep, that you get enough food, all of that kind of stuff. So for me, there's a shift between my responsibility as a parent and the choices that they can make. To me, that's negotiable, right? But the choice to go to sleep, that's not a negotiation. The choice to eat, really, it's not a negotiation. You need to do that. And sometimes in schools, that's the same. So we could have a debate about that. But Raul, you probably got other ideas, or we need to finish this session, or I'm not sure where we're up to there. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, also I would like to add a little bit for my side. Very good discussion. I agree, and very top intellectual feedbacks. Yeah, I think in educational system, like the freedom or the choice is to be given for learning. The choice for learning or freedom for learning, this this can be a like a single eyesight, as I believe. If not, yeah, the controversy or some making may be defined in a different way. For example, uh, the kitchen knife. Knives are made for cutting, yes, but what to cut? Vegetable cutting or fruit cutting or something else. So application like how we are being in practice and how we are defining the things. So what is real purpose or what is real intention? This is important. So in educational system, as that is like revised from different perspective of democratic approach or democracy in the school or in education system. That is how we can I can say from my side the freedom or the choice for something good learning, not bad things. Yes, thanks.
Thank you everyone for dropping your opinion. It was very valuable session actually. We had a lot of good conversation actually. But for now, our time is up because we were booked for 1 hour and now we took 1.5 hours. So I would like to end this session. Of course, we can always get connected. You can search us in Facebook, Land Alumni Network Division, yeah, and we can get connected and discuss further about these things about democratic education, maybe subject moral or your journey and finding new form of education that might be relevant to context of Nepal and so on. So for now, I would like to thank all the participants for joining in. I hope you learned a thing or two. And I'd like to formally end the session. Deva, at last.
Raul, before you do, when is our session that you want Karen and I to be part of? When is that?
It's after 2 minutes, ma'am.
Is it now?
Yes, it is
Okay.
now.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
What's the name of that session?
Okay.
अलि टाइम लाग्ला जस्तो भइरहेको छ र आज लास्ट डे अब यो अलिअलि
You are
actually, Thomas, it's kind of meeting. It's a personal meeting, not.
Okay, great. All right. Good luck.
Thank you for joining in. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you. Thank you, Raul. Thanks. I'll see you soon. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, सबजनालाई.
So much. So
Thank
much for
you.
joining.
okay, Rahul. Thank you. Good session.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
great session. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, thank you everyone. And from China, Thomas.